Hello students, I am Anuja and today we will discuss a very frequently asked topic in most of the competitive exams, that is sentence completion. You also know this topic by the simple term fill in the blanks. Sometimes it is also called close test when the blanks are 5 or more. So this is a very common question type that you have already seen earlier, where a sentence is given to you from which certain words have been deleted, and that makes the sentence incomplete. And you are supposed to complete the sentence by choosing the appropriate option from the given options. All right. So I want you to look at it as an incomplete story, and this is somebody else's story, not your own. And in this story, if you are asked to complete it, you must know the central characters, you must know the context and the theme, right? So that is what we will first do when we handle any sentence completion question. Without bothering to choose the correct option, we are just going to read through. We are going to read through the entire part so that we can understand the context of this story, so that we can understand the central characters, the theme, the tone, the diction author is preferring, those sort of things. Okay, if it's informal, formal, if it's in past tense or present tense, because if I am going to complete somebody else's sentence, I should know at least this much about him or his diction. So that is what we will first do. And once we have understood what is it that we are looking for, we are going to go for the options. Closely compare all the options. Make sure that in this question type, you closely compare all the options because they are painfully close. And of course, it would happen that you feel that A is fine, but when you read C, you realize that C is better. So make sure that you read all the options, compare them closely, see which word matches here as per the meaning, the required intensity, the required connotation of the word. All those things play an important role, and then you make an informed choice. So today we will solve 10 questions through which I will be able to tell you how to eliminate options and what to look for in a question. So here we are with our first question. Now let's read it completely first and look for the keywords, the most important words that are going to direct me towards the correct answer. So what does the sentence say? It says the best punctuation is that of which the reader is least conscious. Least conscious. That means I need a punctuation mark about which I don't feel anything. For when the punctuation or lack of it, now comes the justification that why do I need a punctuation mark like that? So it is because now if you go and fill in the context, you need a punctuation mark which is not intrusive, which is not so loud that you become aware of it. And keeping that in mind, there is only one option that fits the bill here, and which is A. Because if it obtrudes itself, which is sort of intrusive, then it is going to offend you. Then it is going to get in the way. Okay, and no other option matches here. In fact, you have got option C as quite the contrary of what is needed, because you do not want it, you're not talking about the punctuation mark concealing itself. So C goes quite the contrary, and B and D. And of course, to solve this, you should have good word power. If you do not know the meaning of enjoin or efface, you will fail to handle this question. So this comes only as a result of having good vocabulary, for which you are supposed to use your study material and just expand your word power. Okay, so question number 1, answer is A. Our keyword from which we got our answer was least conscious. Moving on to question number 2. Now here let us see what the keyword is. So the argument that the need for a looser fiscal policy. Now first thing that I must notice here is that we are talking about a looser fiscal policy, and we are evaluating sort of which path is better. Now a little bit of economics is going to be applicable here because this is a technical question. So if you know that, you would be able to understand. Otherwise you would have to use common sense. Now let's see here. So what will happen if the fiscal policy is comparatively looser? So what will happen is the demand is going to be stimulated. Now, A also seems like an option that could fit, but just assessing, just finding out the demand is not part of the argument. It's stimulating it, increasing it. But on the other side, we have one more argument, which is to control budget deficits. And we are sort of in a fix, in limbo, that which one should we prefer. So that is why we are choosing C, because we are talking about stimulating demand and then controlling budget deficit, but sort of deciding which one to prefer. So A couldn't fit the bill, and B and D are getting very irrelevant in this particular context. That is why they are eliminated. Question number 3 is kind of an easy question. There are a lot of hints here. Let's see what they are. The Athenians on the whole were peaceful and prosperous. So remember that the people we are talking about are peaceful and prosperous, and they had something to sit at home. So what did they have? Did they have ability, time? Now these things could fit, but remember that we also have a second blank, and second blank could take nothing but explore, because these people are thinking about traveling abroad and exploring the world. Now, I cannot replace explore with suffer or ignore or understand. They are talking about going out there, exploring what all world has to offer. So this one was pretty easy to fill in if you understand the entire context. So here we are going ahead with option A. They had the leisure, that is the free time to sit at home and think about these things and then go ahead and travel abroad. Okay, moving on to question number 4. Now in question number 4, an important thing to notice is in both the blanks, I need synonyms. Why? Because let's see how the sentence progresses. It says their achievement in the field of literature is described as, let's call it A for now. Sometimes it is even called. So that presence of even is sort of telling me that B is going to be an amplified version of A. And that is going to be my selection criterion, because if I start scanning the options, I would find out that magnificent and irresponsible are no way synonyms. In fact, their connotations are quite the opposite. Insignificant and influential, again opposite. Significant and paltry, opposites. So the only one which has a synonym pair is D. So it was considered unimportant, sometimes even trivial. Okay. So this was a question which we could solve because we knew what we were looking for beforehand, and then we just looked for it. Conjunctions are your friends. You must remember that conjunctions give you a lot of context. In this question number 5, you have and there is a blank before and there is a blank after and. Now, since and is a sort of conjunction that joins similar emotions, so again you are looking for a synonym pair. And if you, as I have already said, have an understanding of the meanings, you would scan the options and automatically know that there is only one similar meaning pair, which is indifference and contempt, because both are sort of negative feelings, both are apathy sort of feelings, because otherwise you would have one good feeling and one negative feeling, and that does not go with and. That could go with but, however, nonetheless, nevertheless, but it cannot go with and. So it's a very simple question if you know how and works. And question number 5, the answer is B. Moving on to question number 6. So here we are talking about a book which is a very simplified, now it could be a guide, it could be a primer, it could also be a very simplified introduction, right? But if you see the usage in the second blank, now with decisions, what could we use? Could we say that it's a very good book for anyone who is under decisions? No. Who is maximizing decisions? No. Somebody who is facing decisions, for that person, it's a good one. And that is why, keeping the second blank as my deciding factor, I have chosen option D for question number 6. Moving on to question number 7. Now in question number 7, it will help a big deal if I know the theme that the author has picked up, which is the unlimiting power of internet. So he says that it's a medium where users have nearly, now let's see the kind of word, the kind of adjective that I can use for this noun, choices. So can I say they have embarrassing choices or unbalanced choices or unlimited choices? So they have unlimited choices. But when it comes to constraints, when it comes to things that can hold them down, they are nearly very less. So they are minimal. And that is why the option that fits best here is option C. Let's move on to question number 8. Now, question number 8 talks about how physicians may soon have ways to help paralyzed people move their limbs, and how can they bypass the damaged nerves. Now, why could I straight away go to option B? Because there is no other option which could have an appropriate adjective for nerves, because you couldn't say that the nerves are complex, because yes, of course they are, but here we are talking about paralyzed people, so complex nerves don't really fit the context. And detrimental is something which is harmful. Now these nerves are not harmful, they are damaged, and that is why they are not able to give us the work that they need to. Question number 9. Now here we are talking about tools and practices and organizations, but all of those are fading away. They don't seem alive anymore. And that is our biggest hint, because in such cases, when somebody has passed away, you don't write stories, you do not write reports, you write obituaries. Of course, it's not people here who are dying, but then the context tells us that we should choose obituaries. And another reason for choosing D over any other option is only fade could go with away. And that is why this phrasal verb knowledge is also handy here. So I'm choosing D for question number 9. Let's go ahead to our last question, which is question number 10, the last question for today. Now here we are talking about Darwin. And Darwin, that is one person, that is singular subject. So your verb is also supposed to be singular, right? And if you just keep that small concept in mind, you will know that D option cannot be right, because the verb here is plural. Combine is a plural verb. So that is automatically eliminated. Now here we are talking about Darwin, who has both the attributes of world-class thinker and head of the households. That means he has combined both of these attributes beautifully. And that is why the option that fits best is option C. So it also takes care of the basic grammar rule. If you are aware, this was the rule of subject-verb agreement, and it also fit in the meaning. So guys, these are the 10 questions that we set out to solve. You did a good job by completing these. Now to sum it up, I must tell you that there are certain skills which are required to handle a sentence completion question effectively. Of course, the first is a lot of practice, because the more you solve, you will get the hang of how the questions are asked and what exactly is the examiner looking for. But another thing that you should have in mind is reading very, very actively. Because when you read actively, you automatically notice these things, the sort of preposition that is used with a certain word, or the basic grammar rules, that is how and when a structure is parallel, or what is subject verb agreement, what is tense consistency. Those are the sort of things you pick up when you read very, very carefully. And also, you should be able to differentiate between really close options. You should be able to tell the difference between two synonyms if there is any. So, to master a sentence completion question, these would be the ingredients that are required. That is, solving your material completely and having a good know-how of vocabulary and grammar rules. And of course, needless to say, reading as much as you can. So this is it for today. I hope it was super helpful, and I promise to see you soon again. Have a good day.